today we talked a lot about believing in yourself and passing insecurities. And once you take the first step, the second step, it comes easier. You know, like somehow things just work out. You just have to keep your head up. I feel like I'm always remembered as the girl who loves rice, but no, I want to be remembered as someone who, again, you said spread positivity, but in regards to loving who they are.
Welcome to Abnormal, the podcast for normal people who want to do abnormal things. Today's guest wears many hats. Started off by just making funny videos. She has gone on to become a famous YouTuber, content creator, comedian, business owner, 4 times TED talker, and now author. J. Lou, welcome to Abnormal.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. Quick question, how does it feel to hear all those titles before your name?
It gets surreal, you know, like a lot of times you, as a content creator, you're already many things, right? You're the one filming, editing, so you're used to being all these roles.
And is there anyone there in particular that I've mentioned that you particularly stands out for you?
Probably author, because that's quite new, very, very new. So that one definitely was like, oh yeah, that's a new one.
So guilty confession, me and my wife are big fans. I've been in Hong Kong for 4 years. My wife's been here for 7 years now. Particular fans of the Chinese mum skits.
Oh yeah, that's how I started as well. Like lots of acting, pretending to be my mom. Even my dad at some points with the blonde wig.
Yes, they are very, very, very good videos. And in your content, in your TED Talks, the term that comes up a lot is third culture kid. Mm-hmm. I must confess, I actually hadn't heard about it before watching your content. In your words, can you just help explain what does that mean, third culture kid?
A third culture kid is someone who sort of exists outside of their parents' culture. So for example, my mom being fully Hong Kong Chinese and my dad being French. And although I grew up here, but I'm always perceived as like a guai mui, which is like a white girl in Hong Kong. And then when I'm in France, I'm not French either. So I've created sort of like a third dimension within that I exist in. And it's not sort of like one-worded definition.
And in your TED Talks, you do talk a bit, maybe in the ones a couple of years ago, where in terms of like your identity when you're growing up in school, going from public school to international school. So how does your messaging with being a third culture kid, why is that so important to you as well, not just what it actually is?
I think it comes from all the times I felt insecure with the question, where are you from? And once I answer it, kind of often getting challenged back. And obviously it comes from curiosity, which is very natural because maybe it kind of conflicts with how I look. But when you're constantly being told, oh, but you don't look like this, or but which passport do you have? I don't believe you. You know, so many things I've heard. And then obviously not coming across the term TCK as well until later. And then I had an idea to make videos about it. In fact, that's when Instagram started rolling out the video function. And still like the smaller, it's not like a real thing, like Reels, it's still the small one. And then I remember thinking, I don't know if I should talk about this because I don't know if I'm like a super small minority, because obviously with content, you want to hit more people. But I did it anyway. And I was really, really surprised that so many people around the world relate to this feeling. And of course, there's so many second gen, third gen Chinese or American born, Chinese born American, you know, in the States, in Australia, in England. It's just that I never like sort of put 2 and 2 together. And sort of that's when I learned about the term TCK. And it was so important to not feel alone. And I think as humans, like we always want to feel like we are in a community. And that box I was saying that I was missing, it really was filled by all these people that came and enjoyed my videos, which actually the series was called hashtag JLou Rants. So it was like ranting a lot about, my upbringing and my sometimes strict, harsh mom, using comedy to kind of to tell those stories. So that was really important for me.
I think that's great. I want to touch on the comedy part later. And so the role of posting content for you, you felt alone at one point, and then you were talking about Third Culture Kid. And I know you've spoken about the content process of finding your niche as well. It was almost like overnight you found your niche, and it's not just a niche in Hong Kong. Hong Kong seems to be like a hotbed for TCKs because of the international culture of Hong Kong. But as you mentioned there, so many people worldwide can relate to your content because of the nature of being a Third Culture Kid. It's not just here, it's really, really global. So your niche is actually really, really big, but not many people are actually making content in that area.
Yeah, I suppose so. Like with Hong Kong, yeah, as you said, it's an international city. And maybe that's why I thought it wasn't necessary to talk about it because, maybe everybody feels that way. Like what makes my content special or unique? But it's the way people would respond to my videos saying, wow, this made me feel so much better that my mom's like that, like, oh, that it's okay that sometimes they react sort of in that way that we may find, because we're sort of, again, not in the same culture as them, the way we want to receive love could be different than the way our Asian moms or parents give love. And sometimes we can feel alone in that. So knowing that there's so many people experiencing the same, it does make it feel better.
Yeah, and you've hit the nail on the head. It's all different ways. And actually, one of your TED Talks, I don't have to tell you this, but I will. It was, my parents don't say they're proud of me, and that's okay. And that was all about the different cultures, right?
Yeah, and I can't believe I didn't invite my parents to the first TED Talk because I was so nervous. I didn't want anyone to see, right? There's no prompter. I think in the US, like the official TED, I think there's always a prompter because it's a huge audience. But in Hong Kong, you do it in universities and sometimes high schools. There's no prompter. So I was like really, really nervous that I was gonna mess up because it's obviously a live recording that goes on to the YouTube after. But the second talk, which is, my parents don't say I'm proud of they're proud of me. I invited them. I mean, I just like the audacity. I was brave, but
that's a brave move considering.
Brave. But
were they part of your content at this point? I know there was one video overnight that you involved your parents in your content, and you're right, that was a big moment for you, big moment for them. And how is that now? Now they're not almost as famous as you are, but they're very much a big part of your content.
They're actually in Thailand right now, and they get recognized at the mall.
Stop.
And
wow.
my dad's like, please make this stop. He's like, I don't
no
want
going
this.
back now.
Yeah, so it's because they're so unique as well, especially when they're together. The video was actually with my mom first, which was her reacting to my Instagram photos.
Hilarious. What a great concept.
My goodness. And I was right in the video that I would look back and be like, yeah, I was hot. Because now, being 9 months pregnant pretty much, like I cannot fathom looking like that right now or again. So it's like...
That's why you need photos like that online. It's proof. I know. It's proof.
So that actually took me 2 weeks of stomachache before I got the courage to ask her. At that time, we still didn't really talk about what I did, even though I'd moved out already for a while.
But what was her assumptions of what you did at that time?
To be honest, because content creator and influencer, these terms were non-existent yet. I couldn't even really explain to her. I knew I was getting money from brand deals and things, but then how do you explain it? And her first comment was, then what are you going to do next year or in 2 years or 3 years? Like, how is this? And I didn't have the answer for her. So we kind of just avoided that topic until we did more videos, and then brands wanted us to work together, and she got checks and she was happy. And then
now she's the KOL.
Yeah. I know. She's like, I know they're definitely proud of me. It's just, that's just how it is. Like the way that my parents express it will always be different than how I expect it, but that's okay.
For sure. And I mean, it's very obvious from your YouTube videos in particular that, your family dynamic seems very healthy. The fact that you and your sister and your boyfriends or husbands can be very normal around your parents and be yourselves. And
it definitely took work though. Yeah.
And these things do, especially when it's such a new career, as you said, like a content creator or influencer. Like even now, it's such a popular term, but to explain that to someone that is not from the same generation of where this is acceptable or where a career choice is a YouTuber.
I know.
So many people now want to be YouTubers.
Yeah, I mean, I still get till this day, I still get the question asked by people, or like, what was the last example? I think it was a class I went to, sort of like a sport class, and I was asked, so is it your main income then? And it strikes me because if I was sort of any other normal job, you wouldn't sort of, I want to say dare to ask, is that your main income? It's almost like, I understand the curiosity again. But yeah, it does come with a lot of sometimes like interesting questions.
Yeah, the audacity. Yes. If you're a doctor, they wouldn't ask that.
The title of this podcast, the audacity.
Yeah, there we go. Rice Fam audacity. So on my intro, I sort of listed a few things. YouTuber, content creator, now author, business owner, guest speaker. I would add on motivational speaker as well.
Oh.
I'll tell you why, because in your TED Talks, there were a few lines that some of our previous guests on Abnormal have preached as to the reasons why they're successful or able to do their abnormal things. Nothing is stopping you except your mind was one in your How to Turn Viral into a Business, which is the exact line that one of the best rugby players in the world used on this podcast. Go for it. What's the worst that can happen? They're two lines that you used in Think, your other TED Talk. So these are all fantastic themes with you being a motivational speaker. But anyway, if you could add one more thing onto that list of YouTuber, content creator, guest speaker, motivational speaker, author, is there anything missing from that list that you want to add at some point in your life?
Oh. If I were to be completely, like, the first thing that comes to mind, And then again, I'm like already like doubting myself, but
give me the original thought. What's
I
the
know
first
the
thing that comes
original
to
thought
mind?
is actually, it's just something I've always loved as a kid. So, the way I act in my videos, it does come from my love of performance, not that I was a theater kid. My mom didn't really let me join much external classes, but I did sign up for all the drama classes in school. I actually participated in all my Christmas and summer concerts singing in school. Oh my gosh, my school probably hated me for that.
I need to pull up some old clips on that.
Yeah, so there's a picture of me singing in the book, actually. So it's actually, singer. I mean, it's something I've always loved to do. Sometimes even more than acting, I think. Like that is always in the back of my mind. Like it's something I want, like when I was asked what I wanted to be when I was like 3, I think that was my answer. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see.
But why not? If that's your dream when you were 3 and you've achieved all these things and you're 28? 28?
Yes.
Yes. Why not? Why not add singing onto the list? Okay, very interesting. So you're obviously like listing all these things. You've obviously got a lot going on day-to-day life. You've got a manager, you've got a team behind you. Can you sort of break down what a typical day for JLou looks like?
A typical day. Okay, so it can really vary. And I think that's how it is for content creators. Sometimes it can be super hectic, that there's not even much time to eat. Actually, that's not true. My team always makes sure I have a fan help. I have rice. They know that. There was even one time a shoot where they were offering like salads, I think just because like the team wanted to be healthy, like the shooting team. And then my team was like, no, she needs her rice box. Yeah. So yeah, if it's like a shooting day, that's like waking up early, then 2 hours of hair and makeup, and always have, a fantastic team for that. And then it depends. Video shootings can sometimes, for a 2-minute advertisement, it can go up to 14, 15 hours just to have a short ad come out. And I do enjoy those days a lot. It can get tiring. But otherwise, it can also be a day at home, chilling with my dogs, and then planning the next content I do for myself on my Instagram mostly. So yeah, it varies.
On that content side, you said you plan it yourself, or your content.
Yes.
Do you have like a content creation process that you've been following?
Most of it does stem from real life. So, for example, I haven't filmed this yet, but yesterday I went to a buffet with my mother-in-law. She's in town right now. And I guess standing next to her, maybe I look extra guaimui, extra Western.
Sorry, is that the equivalent of guaylo? For the
Yes.
female equivalent
Yes,
of
that's
guaylo.
right.
Okay.
You learned a term.
Yay.
Yeah, guaimui. So I was going to the sushi sort of section. Yeah, the sushi section. I was just gonna get myself, the cooked ones. Okay, I was being good. But the sushi chef behind the counter said in Chinese, "Oh, I thought she was gonna go for the sashimi there." And then I was thinking in my head, like, should I troll and just like grab a bunch of sashimi? But also like pregnant women, and yeah, you're not supposed to, but think about women in Japan. They still eat sashimi. So yeah, my next skit will be something, I'll exaggerate it with comedy, make it obviously more far-fetched than it was. But then I know it will spark conversation about whether, because for example, I know people in the US are strongly against pregnant women with sashimi because they have gas station sushi. I mean, of course, that's more dicey, but yeah. So it's usually from real life.
And so you'll get an idea like that yesterday at this sushi place, and then are you just expecting like inspiration in your daily life to come up with these video ideas, or do you have like a content pipeline? So you've already planned out the next 3 weeks, or you've got brand deals in there, you've got whatever.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wish I was that organized with the 3 weeks thing, but that would be mostly, yeah, usually already filled up with the brand deal works. Like tomorrow, I know there's something due for a client. Then another day, yeah, another site I have to go to shoot and stuff like that.
And with the brand deals, on the actual business side of being a content creator, how did you feel when you first initially started getting brand deals?
I'll tell you my first one. So you probably have to scroll way deep for that. It's like impossible to find, but it was for a pool party in Macau. And then I remember thinking, okay, so those big hotels in Macau, and I thought, oh wow, they want me to stay there. That's sweet, like a free stay. And then they asked, how much would it be for you to film a video to promote this pool party, this event? And I was thinking, what? No, there's no way. I have to read that again. And then sort of like, I don't know if it's the Asian in me, but I was like, let me just say a crazy amount, which at the time I thought was a crazy amount. I mean, looking back for a first job, it was a crazy amount, but I was like, just to troll, because like I don't really care if I sort of miss. This is not like it's say like a big named brand. It's a pool party. And then they said yes right away. My jaw just like fell to the ground. This
should have asked for more.
I know. And I still lived at home. But yeah, that was really exciting for me. And that's the first time I learned that there's value in an audience, in me being a billboard.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's a great story. And so fast forward to today where, as you said, you've got a manager, you've got a team behind you. What's that process then of deal inflow, of brand inflow? Do you have any criteria yourself how you select brands, or any ones that you're particularly aligned with?
There are definitely brands that I've worked with, that I've worked with and worked with me. Sort of like many times throughout my journey, which is really, really nice that they believe in me, and they believe in especially how I can deliver, because a lot of times I do like to put in my own comedic twists or my own style to make it more fun. And how it works normally is that a brand would reach out, and the reason why it can happen sort of every few months, but even with the same brand, is because there's always either a new product or a new online something like a e-market thing, or Christmas, Valentine's Day. So that's sort of how it rolls. Yeah.
I watched one this weekend, one of your YouTube videos, and it was like Chinese mum, new house or something comes on your new house. And and then I saw the brand deal that was in that video, and it was the Samsung phone.
Yes.
And me and my wife were actually watching it together. And you watch YouTubers and you watch YouTube videos, and there's an obvious cut where it's the sponsor, it's the brand deal. Whereas this was just like drip fed into your original comedic content of Chinese mum.
Right.
And I suppose that brands just love that because it's your audience, right? It's your approach of doing things.
Yes.
People aren't going to skip those parts.
Yeah. I mean, that was really great that the brand let me sort of use a sometimes outrageous character for a serious product. So I do try to insist on that sometimes.
And we're talking about other companies, but Rice Fam, you're very famous for Rice Fam, and that's your brand.
Yes.
That's your community as well.
So that's how I had that name, that term. So I started, not realizing it, but just storing my meals a lot, as influencers do. And my most comments or replies were like, "Whoa, that's a lot of rice, like that portion." And then they started calling themselves Rice Fam. So that's when I had the idea.
And so it started from that, and now that's like your community. That's what you call them. But it's actually now like your brand, right? Your company.
Yeah.
What's that transition been like from content creator, YouTuber, to now business owner and trying to run the success of Rice Fam?
It was it's totally different, like business and, essentially video creation and managing an online audience. So I thought, it's great, obviously, and fun to make my videos and at the same time sell products for other companies. And I thought it'd be fun to create my own and create products. So it started with apparel merch. And that was right before COVID, I think. And then COVID hit and things had to slow down. And then I went into plushies and more cuter side of things. And I just feel like what's great about it is that the brand is me and I'm always evolving. Right now, my new journey is becoming a mom. And so we'll see how it goes with things. But I think, yeah, a lot of times people who forget my name or struggle to pronounce it, they always remember Rice Fam. Like they'll always say, "Oh, hi, Rice Fam," or "I'm Rice Fam," they will say, which is really, really heartwarming.
And what's your goal for Rice Fam?
That's my goal. I think just to continue to obviously spread joy and for more people to find inspiration and searching or being in touch with their roots, because I love it when people tell me, because of you, I've picked up learning my mother tongue again, because being away from Asia, like I never thought I could learn Chinese, or, because of you, I've got some interest in French. And I think even if it's just that one person that I've inspired, it's incredible.
That's great. I mean, you've inspired me to learn French. Not my main inspiration. My main inspiration, I should say, is my wife's French.
Oh, yeah. Is she?
She is French. But when I watch your videos and I see some of the French videos, it really helps that fun. And she loves it as well, pushing me in that direction.
You're welcome, wife.
Yes. Well, thank you, Flora. You mentioned there preparing for motherhood. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
What an amazing journey it looks like it's been so far from your content. It's great to see you here today. You look very healthy.
Thank you.
How has that journey and preparing for parenthood changed your perspectives on things and your goals?
I think, well, first of all, it makes me admire all women. It's incredible. I'm not even at the finish line yet. I'm like, oh, okay, this is not easy. But also, I've always loved, or just, I've always wanted to be a mother. I remember since kindergarten, I would sort of like think the kids, the children younger than me were so cute and wanting to protect them on the school bus. Like, especially with my dogs, I feel like I've been a mom. Obviously a different type of mom, but I just love it.
That would trigger a few people.
Dog mom, I know soon I'll be like feeling different, but you're just being needed by them. And so I'm really excited to go on this new journey, especially with someone I've been with for 9 years. Like that's incredible too. Like watching Dan, my husband, become a father will be really exciting.
And how important has Dan been in your journey into your life now?
Honestly, like I would not be here on my like journey without him, 100%. And I've mentioned that in interviews and TED Talks, because first of all, I'm not a type of person that's so motivated that I could do things on my own. I wish I could be, but especially I think in as I said, like the terms influencer, content creator didn't exist back then. It was hard to feel like you could go anywhere with it. And he was the only consistent figure in my life that gave me the positivity, that told me it's fine. Oh, this video got 20 views. That's fine. Like 20 people more, another 20 people would like it. He really would say these things and truly believed every word he said. And even though I always sort of half doubted him and you really couldn't imagine how this could go, he was right. And Because again, for everything you want to do, it is just about consistency and believing in it, and just keep doing what you love. So he is seriously the key factor.
I don't think it can be understated how powerful and important it is to have someone else believe in you 100%. Because as you say there, the journey you've been on, it's not a normal journey. It's very abnormal. It's very special, but it's very abnormal. And there must have been moments there where the self-doubt creeps in. You're thinking, have I made the right decision here? Is this ever going to work out? Because I have moments like that all the time, probably once a day. But to have someone next to you who isn't your mum, who loves you regardless, undoubtedly, who just believes in you no matter what, and believes in you more than you believe in yourself, I'd say. I don't think the power of that can be understated. Okay, so one thing I really do want to cover is your book.
Okay.
You are now an author, which is insane at 28 years old. The book is called Rice Fam.
Yeah, so the book, being a Chinese book, there is at the moment a Chinese title, which is translated to be, it's actually my Instagram bio, the Chinese part. Yeah, so it took the inspo from there. 似鬼妹嘅香港人. So it's a Hong Konger who looks like a 鬼妹. Because I think that's my definition.
That's a cool title.
Yeah, so it really, I want to say it's like a mini autobiography, more like a diary sort of journal.
It looks the look of it looks like a diary journal vibe.
Yeah, so it really is to talk about my upbringing, how it went, because a lot of people are curious how I could be equally fluent in English and Chinese, and that's thanks to my parents planning with my education, and a lot of people want to know about it. So with the book, it depicts that and interesting things that arised from that. From, for example, being me and my sister being the only sort of, Western looking at a local school, what kind of special treatment, or did I get special treatment? Then international school, so being thrown in the other side of the spectrum of education, suddenly being more normal than abnormal.
Normal.
Yes. And then picking up English because I had Chinglish accent. Then again, 180 back to the local system with university, and how I started my content creation journey and everything.
So it's kind of got everything in, right? The book, it's got everything in, incling your journey in motherhood so far.
Yes,
and some behind the scenes stuff, which exclusive content, some photos.
Yeah.
I want to say that I've been a great podcast host and I've read the book.
But it's not your fault.
It's not my fault. Well, it's not my fault because I don't understand the language. It's not in English. However, I have bought the book and I will be doing a giveaway with the book.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's not your fault. It's not out yet. But it's, thank you so much for already pre-ordering it. That's incredible.
I would have loved to have read it. But
French first.
French first. My wife will thank you for saying that as a reminder. Will this book ever be available in English or other languages?
Yeah, so hopefully the next step will be having an English version for it. Right now, I'm teaming up with a local publisher for this, so I'm sure the next step will be an English version.
Fantastic. Well, you let me know when that happens.
Yes.
And we'll do a follow-up episode. Perfect. And I'll let you know my thoughts on the book. As I said, you've got a book at 28 years old, which is an insane achievement. It's a lot of people's lifetime achievement, to be honest. Wow. If they've had a great career, they're a master in whatever they've done in their whole lives, they're really at the top, then they'll write a book. Can you explain a bit about how that process has come about, what made you want to start a book, and what it's actually like to write your own book?
It's a lot of times you feel like, so for example, this one is about me, right? And I feel like because my content is a lot about stories and things happening, it's hard to suddenly, I have to divulge personal information about myself. And actually the publisher at most rounds were like, we need more. Because you don't realize, you're not used to sharing sort of like so much going into details. But that's the whole point of this, is to get raw and personal and share, things that I've never talked about online, but that would be useful in getting to know me and getting to sort of get the whole sense of what I'm trying to put out there with the message.
But how do you start? Like, how do you start writing a book? What is that first page, pen to paper?
So there's actually questions to help guide me, luckily, with this one, because especially the project started when I got pregnant. So I had a really difficult first trimester, but my team was incredible with helping sort of guide me through each chapter and everything. So we got that down.
And so you'll write a section, go for review from the publisher. They'll give you some comments, and then you go again.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool because, as you said, and hands up here, it's not something that I thought about when I was prepping for this. All of your content online, or at least a lot of it, is, scenarios or other things happening. Like you said earlier about the sushi, that's just something that's happened in your life. It's not the real you. It's not like people want to know about you and how, your upbringing, your thoughts, your journey. So if Rice Fam and other people and abnormal listeners, they want to get to know really you and your life, this is the way to do it.
That's right. Or they could slide into my DMs and then see if because a lot of times people, I do try sometimes to reply to, especially when I get a really big paragraph. I feel like they've put so much time and effort in asking me advice and questions. So I do like to.
Well, you replied to me.
That's right.
That's a great start. I was not expecting that, but thank you for that. Okay, so on your content, as I mentioned throughout this, I love the skits, love the comedy, but there's actually, it's very diverse, especially your Instagram, because you've got, I keep referring back to this, Chinese mum, which is my favorite. You've got your parents on there, but then also you've got the super glamorous stuff on your Instagram as well, where you're modeling for these super luxurious brands. And, you're obviously working with these deals. So you've got all these different sides of you. My question is there one side in particular that you're more comfortable showing to your followers?
More comfortable. I think my sort of unserious side is just who I am. And maybe that's what is, as you said, the glamorous photos, the juxtaposition between that and then me acting like my, Asian mom character, or my most recently new character, Queenie, which is like a rich Tai kind of version. The juxtaposition could be what, sparks sort of the interests in people. But I love doing those fashion shoots. I do. And then when it comes to video, though, I do prefer sort of the unserious side.
And when you were starting off, I'm kind of not going through this process now, but I'm sure a lot of content creators do, where you believe in yourself, you think that you might have something to say which is worth noting. And I've heard you talk about, I can't remember if it was on a TED Talk or YouTube, but that switch in, okay, no, this goofy side is me, this comedic side is me, that's the real me. I don't have to pretend to be anyone on here. It's my channel. What was that process like where you made that switch to realize, oh no, this is just organic me. This is the stuff I'm going to post because this is just me?
I think at the beginning, like the very, very beginning, you want to sort of emulate the successful creators out there. Well, but at the time it was mostly YouTubers. And so that's why my content, I hadn't found my niche yet, because I was doing sort of, this might get me views, like that person got views. And then, you keep doing it and you realize that's not working out for me because I'm not totally comfortable in it. People can probably sense it. It's not natural. It's not something I could do or talk about long term. So once you've accepted that you have your own side, whether it's weird or quirky or totally boring, because there are people who do say ASMR, which to me is not the most exciting, but you will find a huge, population that love it. So it's not, if it's not boring to you, it's not going to be boring to someone else. So whatever angle it is, you just have to totally be yourself, because if you want it to be long term, you've got to enjoy it.
For sure. And I think a lot of content creators will be battling with that dilemma at the moment because, as you said,
So
there's
saturated right now.
there's
you
so
feel
many. Question, actually, do you think there's a lot of content creators in Hong Kong?
I feel like there are, yeah, especially with reels.
Because I think when I'm going through it and doing some research, compared to like other markets like London or Sydney or wherever, I'm talking about my thing, which is, I mean, podcast isn't just my thing, but I'm really into health and fitness, entrepreneurship. I'm very interested in. If I were to do what I'm trying to do in London or in New York or LA, I think it's so much more saturated than it is in Hong Kong. I think there's such a huge opportunity in Hong Kong compared to the rest of these other global
You feel
markets.
like you would disappear in the US, basically.
I think so. I'd like to put money on myself and say, no, I can stand out, needle in the haystack.
I totally know what you mean. I think that's why, well, yeah, Hong Kong is a small city. And I feel like a lot of people are not sort of raised to allow themselves to explore their creative self. That's why a lot of our sort of soap opera stars, they're actually from Canada and from the US, or our Miss Hong Kongs. A lot of them are actually from Canada and the US. But no, I see what you mean. That Hong Kong is definitely a place for opportunities. And especially, I guess for you would consume only English speaking creators. So it's even a smaller percentage.
And some French.
And some French, you're getting there. But no, there's definitely a lot of local creators. But I know what you mean with the English speaking, which is great for us.
Great for us. Great for us. Well, great for you. Yeah. In terms of like social media platforms, I know you're very big across all the channels. On your Instagram, you're very regular. You're very consistent. Like I see content every day, pretty much from you, you and your team, or with brands. On YouTube, how much weighting do you put on the importance of posting on YouTube versus other platforms?
You're calling me out on my.
I'm calling you out.
No. I feel like Instagram, especially after releasing Reels, it has made, I feel like, a lot of creators pause a bit on their YouTube because you are putting a lot more effort on YouTube, which the outcome could be much less compared to sometimes a reel that's 5 seconds and get over 10 million views. But of course, the reward is totally different. Like your fan base on YouTube is much more loyal. And I feel like because long form, people sort of see you as if they're watching someone on a TV. It's got that psychological effect, especially if you put it on your actual TV while you're having a meal. How you perceive that person rather than just scrolling and just sort of seeing, oh, my friend came up on my reel. Like, people just come up on your reels, right? But so because of my new journey now as becoming a mother, I feel like it's given me a new inspiration to do vlogs, especially. Back then, I did not like vlogs. Like, I actually barely posted vlogs. It was mostly sit down, which was more popular back then. I feel like vlogs are more popular now. But yeah, I might focus on more those skits on Reels and then do more vlogs on YouTube.
I'm really, really interested, which is why I'm asking the questions about YouTube and what platforms you use, because you've obviously nailed it. For me, I've just hit the 500 subscriber mark on YouTube.
Congratulations.
Thanks to Wilson and the podcast, actually, because these are my only long form contents. But YouTube is a platform, I completely agree. If you subscribe to someone on YouTube, for me, that holds so much more weight than following someone on Instagram or TikTok. But your following is actually quite similar compared to other content creators. You've got close to 400,000 on YouTube and 750,000 on Instagram. So you've obviously got a very, very loyal community on YouTube. I do find that YouTube, I get nervous. I still haven't taken the leap and filmed my own first long form content. It's all been stuff that we've done on the podcast. It's something that I've written down as a goal of mine. I know it's small, but it's something that I really want to do. But I feel like you always need to have something to say, because in a reel, you could do a whole reel without saying any words, or you could do something, a skit, which isn't really you. Mm-hmm. What pieces of advice, or what one piece of advice would you give to someone, a content creator out there who's maybe on the short form channels and is looking to explore YouTube?
Well, first get a camera that you are most comfortable in, because I think that was something that like stopped me a lot. For example, if I wanted to vlog, but my camera was like those big DSLR ones, I was like, oh, there's no way I could hold that. But once you find one that you can use all the time, obviously a nimble one if you're a vlogger, and a good set down one if you're more like curated content. But I feel like, yeah, again, it's just about just trial and error. Just try the way you probably was nervous for your first reel, you'll be nervous for your first YouTube video. With long term, YouTube does favor videos over, I think, 8 minutes now. I think it used to be 10, but now maybe 8 to 10 minutes. Basically, anything lower might not pop up on the homepage, even if to your own subscribers. So you do have to make it. And about talking, I don't think that's totally necessary. I mean, I watched one, but that's her style, where it's just like how her like turn down routine when she got home, and it's just like you don't even see her face, you just hear sounds, and it's very like soothing. But I see that you do those daily vlogs.
I do. Yes, I do.
But that might be the thing, though. You're used to it being so short. You're like, how do I make
sure.
it long, kind of thing.
I think it's a lot of trial and error, right?
Yeah.
And not getting bogged down with. I've been really guilty in the past of, I'll post something and then I'll just look at the views, or look at the shares and look at the data straight away. And obviously that's somewhat important if you want to grow and go viral, whatever. But really, it's so many times I've pinched myself and been like, have you enjoyed doing it? Is it content you like doing and you can do consistently? Well, then don't worry. Don't stress too much.
No, we all been there for sure.
Okay, so I want to go back to one question, because I referenced the TED Talks at the start.
Yes.
And you speak about YouTube and other things in the TED Talks as well. If you could only give one TED Talk in your whole life, what would that title be right now?
Right now? I feel like because today we talked a lot about believing in yourself and passing insecurities. Maybe something along the lines of like, this is how you can do it, or this is how you can achieve it. And it's vague because we all want something different in life. We all want something different, but we all have a goal. And to get there, I feel like the methods are similar no matter how different our goals are in the end. Like the what you said at the beginning, the inspirational sort of lines that, yeah, we all kind of share and use. My favorite one would be, envision that step, that last goal, or, your dream. And a lot of us just want to sort of get there with one big step, but it's a lot of steps that are involved getting there. So how do you get there? You take the first step. And once you take the first step, the second step, it comes easier.
Jelu, you must have listened to every episode of my podcast before, because what you just described there with the stair metaphor was exactly what the founder of Fine Print described last week.
Wow.
So you're all onto something, right? You mentioned there about your dream. You mentioned there, for example, if I had to say my dream for the podcast, my dream guest, I'm a sports guy, guilty. It would be someone like Lewis Hamilton, LeBron James, someone like that. Someone who's at this point seems so unattainable, but that's like my pipe dream. What's your pipe dream?
What's my pipe dream? A lot of times I feel like, with especially being content creator influencer, we're always, because we live under data and numbers, as you said. So it's not enough. We want more and more and more. So I feel like sometimes, the present should be like, it can be enough as well. So sometimes I feel like I am living the dream that I dreamt of all those years ago. And I do have to sometimes pause and think like, wow, like I'm here.
I absolutely love that. It's something that we can all take lessons from. I sort of try and take a moment every day to sit down and write a few thoughts down. And I think we're all guilty of just looking ahead. What's next? Especially when you're someone like yourself, so busy, so many things going on, so many people want a slice of you, want some of your time. And if you were to sort of sit back now and think back to how far you've come in the last 10, 15 years, it's insane. Even the last 1 year, look at the changes in different areas of life.
I know. I was like in Fashion Week last year. And now I can barely move. Yeah.
Hey, life gets you. If you could give one piece of advice to like a 15-year-old J-Lu, what would that be?
And that's a totally different topic there that I could get into another day. But teenage me was, especially around 15, 16, was dark. It was in dark times. But I would tell her that it does get better. I think that's really important for anyone out there who is struggling with anything, that it does get better. And that one day you will figure it out. Just like sort of like we all I want to say like we all do, like somehow things just work out, especially like, you just have to keep your head up.
And I don't think that's like an arrogant comment, you saying that, as in things just work out. Like obviously you've got a great life, but it's also a mindset shift, right? Because you could have things different in your life, but still have that same attitude, because I try and tell myself it's perspective, and I try and say, we're exactly where we're meant to be. Even if you're in the pits, even if you're in the trenches and it looks tough, it looks like there's no way out, but you're exactly where you're meant to be. You've got all the tools around you to get out. Think of some things that you're grateful for in life. Your family healthy, you woke up in a bed this morning, simple things like that. It's all a perspective thing. So I think that's great advice. And it's really important for people to hear it from everyone, but especially people like you, who a lot of people look up to you. You've got a really, really passionate community, and you spreading this positivity with every video you make, every TED Talk you do, now your book, which you're launching. Your ultimate message is positivity. None of your content is negative in any way or complaining. It's you are really shedding a light on really positive things in people's life, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people that consume your content that makes them smile, and it gives them a perk up at the end of the day. So hats off for that.
Thank you. Thanks for telling me that. No, sometimes it is nice to sort of, because you don't think about it yourself, but being told, especially in person, it does mean a lot. So thank you.
When it's all said and done, which I don't know when it will be, but how would you like to be remembered?
I feel like I'm always remembered as the girl who loves rice, but no, I want to be remembered as someone who, again, you said spread positivity, but in regards to loving who they are in terms of their identity, their culture, but also sort of being inspired to learn a language. As I've shared before in my talk, how the benefits of learning more than one language, it inspires you, opens up a part of your brain that even links to empathy. So I hope to keep doing talks and continue to learn about myself and see where I can go as well.
You say it teaches you empathy, but so you've got 5 languages. So you must be extremely empathetic.
Right? That's why I'm here.
Thank you. No, exactly right. And that's a really nice way to be remembered. And it's not, I guess it's not just when all said and done, it's when you meet people, right? Like this interaction, I've met you for the first time today. I can immediately tell you're a positive person. It's a great experience. It's a great interaction. As you know, the podcast is called Abnormal. It is for normal people who want to do abnormal things. For me, I consider myself a pretty normal person, and starting a podcast with Wilson is something abnormal that I'm doing, and it's very public. So if it fails, it fails in the public eye, right? But it's very abnormal for me. The hope of the podcast is to show people that whatever they're doing in their lives, they consider themselves a very normal person, but they can achieve something abnormal as well. And it doesn't have to be being a famous YouTuber, doesn't have to be being a famous athlete. It could be running a 5K, setting up a charity, whatever the one thing they want to do and the one thing in their lives, that's abnormal for them. So for you, J-Lu, what's the one piece of advice that you would give someone wanting to do something abnormal in their lives?
Just believe in yourself and take that first step, because the second step will always come easier.
I love that. Very simple, very apt.
Thank you.
Well, I must say, you're a very, very interesting person. And I've loved getting the opportunities to ask these questions. They're not just my questions, I must confess. I did ask quite a few people because a lot of people wanted to ask you some questions.
Oh, nice.
But thank you for coming on the show. Really respect and appreciate what you had to say. I can't wait to keep following your content, for one, but also I can't wait to follow your journey just outside of YouTube and Instagram as well, with the business, with Rice Fam, especially with the book. I hope it goes well. I'm sure it's going to be a huge success. I can't wait for it to come out in English so I can let you know my thoughts.
Thank you.
And of course, good luck with the baby and the pregnancy. I'm sure you're going to be an amazing mother and you're going to set a great example for your baby. So thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and see you next time.
Yeah, see you. Thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Abnormal Podcast. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and give us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to on right now, as it really goes a long way to growing the show. Thank you, and see you in the next one.